validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt up on the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher constantly, making my own climb. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. Whoa, I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. I'm your host, Sander, where we're talking about this, that, and everything in between. We've got us a lot of information today. Well, not really. It's going to turn into a lot of information today because we're going to be talking about New Zealand. We're going to be special shout out to Satellite. He was in here waiting on us right before the show teed off. Early bird special. Mr. Satellite, I got you in there too, buddy. I got you in there. You in the tops. You in the tops. I think it's like a top 20 list right now because we got like top 10 of YouTube and the top 20 or top 10 of Twitch. As we recognize fans popping in from Twitter, we'll start getting some fans up in here from Twitter as well. Actually, I got to check the fans list from Twitter. But because we do got a pretty decent sized fans list over there on Twitter as well. Make sure that you guys, you're welcome, buddy. You're welcome. You're welcome. Make sure that you guys like and subscribe as you come in here if you haven't already subscribed before. We are live 7 nights a week, and we are teeing this bad boy off close to the 10 o'clock start time that we're supposed to do it up. We're a little bit late from time to time. Things be happening beyond my control. Brother man can't stay on the hour, but, try to get here close to the hour. Yeah. I know we had some things that's been happening some changes going around the world that's been affecting us. Real estate's been starting to take a little bit of a dip, a little bit bigger of a dip than people was expecting. Interest rates have been staying high, so we're looking at costs going up, profits going down, markets are shifting. So that's going to make a huge change with the way that we invest in stuff. And that's one of the reasons why we're talking about New Zealand, because we try to pick a different country to throw our money on every week. Does anybody heard about the 200 CE first chocolate? The first chocolate that came out in 200 CE? Nah, I didn't hear about that. What was that about? Talani is back. How you doing, Miss Ma'am? Good to see you. It's been a long time. Hopefully everything is going good for you. Today we're going to be giving us a discussion about some New Zealand stuff, but we're going to also be talking about towards the back end of the ins and outs of the New Zealand stuff. We're going to be throwing some stuff in there about some of the other countries that are in line with positive incentives for the brothers to go out there and go and find some good ones. So we're going to be looking all over the place to make it better for us. You say that you've seen it on YouTube, huh, Satellite? So I'm guessing that there's like a chocolate that was either created or still exists from 200 CE. Wow. That's impressive. I'm not a big chocolate fan, though. I could tell you, I'm more, I'm okay with a brownie, chocolate chip cookie. That's about as chocolate as I get as a chocolate chip cookie. I can do like a Snickers bar or something like that, but just like, someone tried it. Are they still alive? If they tried a 200-year-old, 400, 500-year-old chocolate, like it wasn't moldy, like that's almost as catastrophic as that ultra spicy Dorito thing that those folks was over there doing, that spicy chip challenge, where it was yeah, he kind of died. I kind of figured that he would have at least got a little bit sick off of that, because chocolate doesn't last that long. I mean, you got stuff with some preservatives in it, but chocolate doesn't really last that long. Curry, you love, isn't it? Yeah, I'm okay with curry. Just, I just don't do too much like excessive sweets. I remember those challenges. Yeah, bro, those challenges were insane. I look at how people put a lot of effort into doing stuff for the views, and I can't see myself doing that. Like when I'm down for a spicy chip, right? I like spicy stuff. What? If you're telling me that there's a potato chip out there that's likely to cause you to have like 3 ulcers and, maybe want to rip your tongue out of your mouth, not too sure if I want to go there. Now, I mean, if I was getting paid some money to do it, then I might have would have thought about it. Like those guys that if you eat a 72-ounce steak, the whole meal is free kind of thing. Yeah, I'd try that. I could see myself doing that. But just trying to just see what it's like for the sake of seeing what it's like, I don't. No. If it's spicier than the flaming Doritos, then I think I'm good. Mr. Satellite said, like the spicy chip challenges. Yeah, bro, like the, and they drinking milk and stuff. They falling all out the chair and stuff, getting 1 million views because they out there eating this ridiculous behind potato chip. No, I'm not trying to follow the trend. If you hurt yourself doing it, I know I'm not Superman. I'm not about to get out there and do it with you. That's like me saying, oh, you're a human being and I'm a human being. And just because you didn't melt doesn't mean I'm not going to melt. I'm going to set myself on fire, see what happens. No. Because you got some people that are smart about it. They'll put a layer of Vaseline on themselves or something like that before they cover themselves up with the liquid flame, which still isn't smart, but it's a whole lot better than someone that would throw like baby oil or something like that on and then light themselves up, and then you wonder why the fire stuck to them as they're rolling all over the place. I don't. People do some of the dumbest stuff. the young generation. Talana says she loves potatoes. Idaho loves potatoes too. Idaho has ice cream that is shaped like a stuffed potato. So it's got like the sour cream as whipped cream and like the chocolate ice cream shaped like an actual, it looks like a real potato, but it's an ice cream dessert. I don't like potatoes that much to say that I want my Baskin Robbins 31 flavors to look like a vegetable garden. I don't see myself feeling comfortable with munching down on some rocky road. It looks like broccoli and celery sticks. You're a smart one and handsome. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Make sure that you guys remember that we are live 7 nights a week. We typically start off at around about the same night every night. We have a different topic every night. Tonight's topic is going to be New Zealand, amongst a couple other things that we got going on. Feel free to chime in. We can segue into some other topics. It has been known to happen. We actually ended up talking about physics one day last week with Usman. So, trying to challenge the masses. But I'm going to show you how you can make millions while living cheaply in New Zealand. Now, New Zealand is really close to at least middle-class standard living in America. So it's not like you can just go over there with $100 and you have like 100,000 New Zealand dollars. It's just not going to work that way. So just note that before we even get started. Not every country is cheaper than America. It's just that American dollars go a lot further in some other countries. And as the tariffs continue to increase the value of the US dollar, American dollars would go even further in other countries, which means is while you're making US currency and you're getting paid in US currency, you wire transfer that US currency to another country and you'll make you a decent quantity of cash. So let's see if we can really pull it off. Making millions while enjoying an affordable lifestyle in New Zealand may seem like a far-fetched dream, but trust me, it's a reality for many who have taken the leap. And today I'm excited to share with you the secret to achieving this ultimate goal. One of the most significant misconceptions about living in New Zealand is that it's only for the wealthy. That's not true. A lot of people believe that there are so many countries that you can only go there and as a foreigner and live there if you are wealthy. The fact that the cost of living is exorbitantly high and only the privileged few can afford to call this beautiful country home is the expectation. But nothing can be further from the truth. Yes, the cost of living in major cities like Auckland and Wellington can be pretty steep, but there are plenty of affordable options for those willing to look beyond the beaten path. I mean, we could say that California, Florida, New York, Brooklyn are some of the most expensive places in America where you have to make $250,000 US per year, which in some countries is upward of a million or 2 million in won. That's like 2 billion won or something like that to have an annual salary to live a middle-class lifestyle. So if you're going to the highly populated, highly prestigious locations, yeah, you're going to pay a pretty penny. If you go to the tourist locations, if you go exclusively to the most well-known, highly sought after locations where there's a high demand and a low supply of availability, things are going to be pretty expensive. But affordable options for those willing to look beyond the beaten path is definitely there. You can find places that are a lot cheaper than the major cities, that are a lot cheaper than the tourist attractions, and be able to make a decent living while you're at it. For instance, the regions of Hawke's Bay or West Coast, where the cost of living is significantly lower and the quality of life is still exceptionally high. You can find stunning coastal towns, vibrant communities, and breathtaking natural beauty, all at the fraction of the cost of living in the big cities. And when it comes to investing, it's not just about buying expensive properties in Auckland. There are plenty of opportunities to invest in upcoming areas, startups, and innovative projects that can provide significant returns. Germany is pretty affordable. You know what? I haven't talked about Germany yet. Germany and Hungary and Chile are on my list of places to discuss over the next month. I believe that it is definitely a good idea to go to look at some of those places that will put us on a map and give us some options for vacations that are work business trips, options for retirement if we want to go someplace to live, or if we just want to go somewhere and camp out for a while. Another myth is that New Zealand is only for retirees or those looking for sleepy, laid back lifestyles. That's not true. Simply not true. New Zealand has a thriving entrepreneurial scene with plenty of opportunities for entrepreneurs, innovators, and creative to start their own business, network like minded individuals. They have a lot of those people. So if you have the drive to start your own business, if you have the drive to create something, to build something, or if you just have a business mindset to invest, trade, or uh, work there, you can definitely get over there and find something that fits what you're looking for. Oh, what is up with you, Z? What happened to you yesterday, man? Oh, bruh. I spent like 2.5 hours talking about precious minerals. I was sitting over here like gold and platinum and palladium and copper. And I was talking about safes and vaults and places to put your money and insurance companies and all this stock option value versus buying it and holding it in a safe in the garage so that you don't get robbed by the white man and all of the stuff that we were talking about yesterday, and you weren't here. Oh man, I gave you my word that on Tuesday I was going to talk to you about your precious metals. Next week, I think we're going to really be getting into the minerals and stuff, because after I finished going through the platinum with the precious minerals, I started thinking to myself, man, what about investing in diamonds? Because I was talking about it and had to help a friend. I'll catch it on the rewind though. Yeah, oh yeah, it's still up there. It's still up there. You should have been playing it in the background. You got a cell phone, you got a laptop, a tablet. You could have hung that bad boy up in the background and just turned it on and some background stuff and just listen to it. Your homeboy be like, what's that? Oh, that's Xander. He know everything about everything. But it's always there for you when you get a chance to go back and take a look at it. I actually put up some investment companies so that if you want to invest in a stock under the car, yeah, you could put it under the car. You got to put it away from the oil pan if you were changing the oil pump. But if you weren't dealing with any leaking fluids, you could have been under the car with it. You could have had it in the car, plugged into the stereo system, turn the stereo system up, and then you can just listen to it while you're under the car. I mean, you could have been under the car. You could have asked me a question about the car. We could have paused on precious metals and started talking about fast cars. I don't know. But yeah, we covered your topic for you. But there was a portion of the show when I was talking about the vaults and the safes and stuff, and storing your gold bullions, your coins, your bricks, and bags of diamonds, and stacks of cash, and the brick phones where the low income poor people, the poor minded people, are getting stacks of cash and pressing it against their face, and I think that that's ignorant for them to do. As if they got money, but they still live in the hood. Rich people don't do that. You will never see a rich person with a stack of cash in their hand. They might have like $100 bills in their hand at best. most of the time they call somebody who buys out the building while they're standing there. And before the conversation is over, everybody who I disagree with gets escorted out of the building. Is how billionaires work. But the fact is that when we were talking about that, I was like, dang, I can't really talk about diamonds in a precious metals topic. Well, I could, because on this and that, we talk about this, that, and everything in between, but it's not a metal. So I said, well, I'm gonna have to cover diamonds next week, Tuesday. So I was gonna find diamonds and a few other investment opportunities that we can put ourselves into, blood money trades, all that other stuff, and try to work on some other things we can get ourselves into. Nice, definitely going to catch it though. Oh, you got to. Today is going to be pretty sweet too, because I found halfway through, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna throw this curveball up there, because on Wednesdays it's not just about the one country that I'm referring to. It's about everything else that drives us to look into other countries. So from the startups to artisanal food producers, the opportunities are endless. You got to look at the Kiwi that can do attitude, which will make ideal to turn your passion into a profitable reality. Now, of course, there's going to be some challenges to overcome, and it's essential to be aware of them. From navigating the complexities of New Zealand's tax system to finding the right talent and resources, it's crucial to do your research and network with locals and be prepared to put it in the hard work. You're going to have to really put your effort into making yourself successful. You can't just walk over there with a couple dollars and just like slap some cash on the table and be like, I want you to turn this into $1 million. Now you can go there with $1 million and say that I want you to invest this and make me a profit, but you can't just slap a couple $100s on a table and say, turn this into $1 million. You got to put some work in. But for those willing to take that leap, the rewards are well worth it. So what are some specific strategies for achieving financial success in New Zealand? Well, one approach is to look for areas with high growth potential, such as regions I mentioned earlier, or emerging industries like sustainable energy or agribusiness. You could also explore unique business ideas that capitalize on New Zealand's natural strengths, such as the ecotourism and artisanal food production, or sustainable fashion. Sustainable fashion is going to be some of that recyclable Greenpeace kind of stuff, where they make clothes out of old stuff, out of old resources. In fact, did you know that some of the most successful entrepreneurs in New Zealand started with very little money? You guys got to understand that investing in New Zealand can be lucrative for foreigners, but living cheaply requires careful planning, because it is not always the thing to do to run to another country, because stuff adds up. But living cheaply requires careful planning. So if you know what you're trying to get yourself into, you know what you're trying to get out of it. Investing in New Zealand's stock market, which offers opportunities for active management and potential high returns, such as the Steel and Tube Holdings with a market cap of $220 million. This company offers an impressive 8.1% dividend yield. You have the Warehouse Group, and this is a large retailer that has a market cap of $1.2 billion and provides an 8% dividend yield, which is pretty good. You have Euro's Hartley Group, and as of June of 2024, this company reported a high dividend yield of 8.82%. The Briscoe Group Limited, and this company had been paying dividends with the frequency of 2 times per year. And NZX Limited, the New Zealand Stock Exchange itself, offers a dividend yield of 5.8% as of December of 2024. Vital Healthcare Property Trust, this pays dividends 4 times per year, which is quarterly. And it is something that you guys can definitely benefit from if you're interested in investing in some stock options. Now you got Precinct Properties NZ Ltd, which is another company with a quarterly dividend payout schedule, and Livestock Improvement Corp, where this one stands out with an impressive 16.38% dividend yield. KDM Brands Ltd, offering a high dividend yield of 11.11%. Heartland Group Holdings Ltd, where this one is a financial service company that provides 9.13% dividend yields. And that's just to get into some of the best places to invest in New Zealand. Now, if you invest in real estate instead of the stock market, which is popular choice in New Zealand, this can include residential or commercial properties offering rental income and potential capital gains. The average residential house price in New Zealand as of February 2025 is approximately around $509,813, which is the average $500,000 3 or 4 bedroom house in America. This represents a slight decrease from the previous year. The commercial real estate market in New Zealand is projected to reach a value of $229.75 billion in 2025. But it's worth noting that prices vary significantly across different regions. Like Auckland remains the most expensive housing market with an average price of $579,567 as of November of 2024, and West Coast regions offers the most affordable housing with the average price of $214,965 US. Now, for commercial properties, prices can vary greatly depending on the type, location, and size of the property. But it's important to note that New Zealand real estate market in New Zealand has been experiencing some fluctuations with slight decreases in the residential pricing observed in recent months. So the commercial property sector is expected to see some recovery in 2025. And if you're investing in infrastructure products or rural land, which can provide stable returns and diversification, you can find yourself utilizing the Active Investor Plus Visa program, which offers residents in exchange for significant investments. So you can get your citizenship there just by investing in some of their stuff in a big way. This can be a pathway to citizenship and provides access to various investment opportunities. Now, from what I understand, very few countries have a limitation to dual citizenship. And as an American, there isn't much of a requirement for an American citizen to have dual citizenship in another country. So if you wanted to be a citizen of multiple countries, as long as you talk to your local embassies and fill out the appropriate paperwork and meet the right requirements, you can find yourself localized in a number of locations. Once you get put on their records as a native, you can qualify for things that foreigners can't qualify for, such as those countries that are Second Amendment friendly to the locals, but not foreign nationals. Those are individuals that once you get your citizenship, you might be able to go ahead and pick you up something somewhere. They've got certain countries that still, even if you are allowed to get your own, they're not going to allow you to transport your own to their country. You got to get it from their country, which sucks. But it is what it is. If you decide to live in New Zealand while investing, opt for house sharing or flatting to reduce rental costs. Websites like Roomgo and nzflatmates.com can help find affordable options. You can shop at budget-friendly supermarkets like Park and Save. Literally, it's PAK, PAKN save. That's almost like the quickie mark from The Simpsons. When I heard quickie mark, I was thinking about something different. Either way, save to save on food. You want to be able to just spend a lot less money on eating out and spend a lot more money on eating in. Use your public transportation or consider purchasing a used vehicle to reduce cost. And while public health care is generally free or low cost, consider private health insurance for broader coverage. Now, local health care in America is not free for anyone, but if you are poor, destitute in this country, they'll definitely provide you with some government funded health care to some degree. For someone just starting to invest, what percent of net income is good place to start? Much like a house, many say your mortgage shouldn't exceed, for example, 28% of your net income. I know that's subjective. That's actually pretty spot on. Your standard of living is supposed to be approximately less than 43% at best. Well, the worst case scenario, at best, you want to aim for under 30%. So 28% is a good range to shoot for as far as the total income total expense you're supposed to have. Most people don't do that though. Most people live at 95% of their household income. So when you're living, the expectation lowest grade is 10%. So if you can shave 10% of your expenses off where you have 10% of your expenses available, then you have the ability to take that 10% and invest it. So if you're making $2,000 a month, you should be able to take $200 a month and invest it. For those individuals that are a little bit more fiscally responsible or frugal, where you only pay for what you need and you have the ability to shave off 20%, that's a good spot to start with as well. It's 20%, because if you're making $2,000 a month, you could always take $400 or $500 a month and invest it. The more that you don't need to cover your basic standard of living with a little bit of extra for those random scenarios where you just have to indulge, or unexpected emergencies, unexpected trips, long distance, whatever, double commutes, whatever the case may be. Outside of that, if you don't necessarily need that, you should invest it. So instead of having 20 different subscriptions to 20 different apps, you only have subscriptions to apps that you use on a regular basis. If you don't use the app on a regular basis, then you shouldn't pay for the app on a regular basis. Another thing that would be good to note is if you're not always wasting a lot of money on entertainment, then you don't have to worry about the entertainment money just going to waste. The entertainment money could also be investment as well. That's one of the reasons why switching over to an 80-20 scenario is also good when you're just starting out. And that's another reason why I express to everybody that investing in cash dividends, where if in the event that you put your money into something and it's paying you back monthly or quarterly without you having to withdraw the money, because investing in certain stocks, while the stock value increases, it does not pay you back. So in order for you to get to realize a cash profit, you have to sell the stock. And the difference between how much you bought it for versus how much you sold it for is your profit margin. But if you buy it and hold it, your money's just gone and you own the value of the stock, which you could utilize if you have enough of it to leverage for a cash loan. But as you're building yourself up, you don't have enough stock option to be worth somebody leveraging it to get a cash loan. So if you buy into a cash stock, it's more effective to buy into a cash stock that'll give you some money back every month, where you can do one of two things with it. You can take that and offset your standard of living and then take the change and put it into the cash stock, which increases the principal every month. Or you can just reinvest your dividend distribution with whatever and monthly money that you're adding to the cash stock to increase the values of the cash stock. As the cash stock gets larger, it'll pay you out more money every month. And the more money that you get every month, the more bills you can pay with that cash stock, which puts you in a position where you're making more money than you need. You're paying all your bills, and then you're taking the change and you're investing it into the stock to blow it up even higher. At some point, you're going to make even more money where you don't need to work and you've got money left over where you could pay all your bills, put a little money aside for entertainment, and then take the change and reinvest it back in, where you're still increasing your principal while living the good life and not having to work for anybody else to do it at the same time. So I actually got a couple of shows, the budgeting shows. If you go look back at 2 or 3 of the budgeting shows that I did, if you go through the channel and just type in budgeting in the search bar, it'll give you a few of the shows that I talked about with budgeting. 2 or 3 of them were discussing the 80-20 rule, the 50-50 rule, the 60-40 rule. I was telling people in that show about how the church was supposed to take care of the community, and you're giving your 10% to the church, and you're really just paying for the overhead of the church when you're doing that. It's a tax deduction technically because it is a nonprofit organization. It's supposed to be a nonprofit organization. But the fact is, instead of you donating that 10% to the church, if you were going to do goodwill in the name of the Lord, instead of giving that 10% to the church, you give that 10% to individuals that need and don't have, where you're, instead of complaining about the person that doesn't have enough money for the bus, holding up the bus, you get up and pay their fare. The person that don't got enough money to pay for a cab, you pay their fare. The person that's holding up the line at the grocery store because they don't have enough money to pay for everything that they scan, and now they're looking for extra money, you pay their fare. That's your 10% if you're going to be giving it away. Likewise, instead of giving it away, if you invested it, and like I told you guys, if you do any charity work that's tax deductible, if you created a 501c3 that's taking care of the public, and you donate money to your own 501c3, you can write yourself a voucher using the tax identification number of the nonprofit in line with your social security number, where you would turn it into the IRS and say, hey, John Smith sent, community charity money to take care of the community. Now, that voucher allows John Smith to not have to pay taxes for that amount of money. So if you're doing charitable works and you're getting vouchers for it, you claim those charitable works on your income taxes and you write that off. So in the name of the Lord, as a tax deduction, do for other people. Likewise, though, instead of being wasteful with your money, if you just take it and invest it, I told you guys about the over 8,000 financial institutions in America. You can get, everybody's incentivizing you right now, where they're offering you between 5 and 7% interest on up to $500 in a checking account. When you open up an account with them, you can just put your money in multiple different checking accounts all across the country and get a guaranteed 5 to 7% interest annually, regardless of inflation, where they're adding compound interest. They're adding money to your account every month for any money that hasn't moved for the last 30 days. So you could put $500 into your account and leave it there, and then just take the interest out of each one of those accounts every month or once a year, however you feel like it, and move that money somewhere else. That's one way to get started. Another way to get started is cash dividend stocks. And the more money that you put into, because what wealthy people do is they put all of their money into investments. Then they take the dividends and they spend that. And actually, they do one step further. They don't even care whether it's a cash stock or it's a high value asset stock. They'll just invest in it because it's a profitable stock. They have the knowledge and skill set to leverage their assets as collateral. So they can have $5 million worth of stock options. Some of it can be cash paying stock options, some of it not, but the total value of the stock option could be a 100% leverage for the cash loan. If the cash loan is going to give you enough cash to buy what you want cash up front, and the dividends distributed is enough to pay off the cash loan, you can buy a brand new car and then write that shit off on your taxes, because dividends paid are paying on a loan. So dividends from the stock option pay on a loan. So you own the car. If something happens where the stock market crashes and you can't afford to pay the loan, they take the stocks, but you own the car. So if you put up $100,000 worth of stocks to get you $100,000 cash loan for a $100,000 car, you own the car. The stock market could go to shit, but you got the green title of that car from day one. You ain't got to wait 5 to 7 years to get the car. You can do the same thing with a house. You can leverage your shares and your stocks to get cash to buy a house cash up front. Then you can mortgage the house for a percentage of the value of the house, take that, put it on the cash stock, and then have the cash stock pay the mortgage. And all of these are tips and tricks and ways that you can make money for you. But to start out, it's a good way to go for those of us that are too poor to wait for dividend distributions, is to pay your bills first, since you can't do it any other way. Unless you get a lump of change from somewhere. You know, these bait and switch, where they'll ask you, well, if somebody gave you $500,000 a day, what would you do with it? Most poor-minded people will say spend it. Doesn't matter if it's spend it on something noble. It doesn't matter, spend it on a friend or a family, catch up on some back debt, pay a bill, whatever, pay off your student loans, whatever they decide to put the money on. The funny thing is that none of them, maybe I think it was me and one other person across 5 different videos that did the same thing. Just the 2 of us. One time on one thread, I did it on each one of the threads I came across, but there was 2 of us out of thousands of people that straight up said, invest, just invest, and then live off the profits of that. Everybody else was like, buy a brand new car, buy a brand new house, pay off all my debt, set up my retirement. But setting up my retirement was like what? Getting a 401k or a Roth IRA that you're paying taxes on anyway. That's like the best idea. But for the most part, it was just spend it. Spend it, go on a vacation. Some people might say spend some of it and then invest the rest. So they're halfway getting there. But for the most part, everybody was saying, I'm just going to waste this money. Me, I'm like, nah, bump that. If you give me $1 million, that's only going to happen once in my life. But all I need is for it to happen once in my life. Because if you give me $1 million and I'm able to get 15% interest off that $1 million, I'm making $150,000 a year out the gate. And if my standard of living is less than $150,000 a year, then I've got plenty of profit to reinvest. I got profit to travel with. I got profit to quit working and just live life off of that $1 million check. See what I'm saying? So it's all about the mindset. But yeah, to answer your question, short answer, yeah, it's effective to simply start off with 10 or 20% of your money and put it away and never go back for it. Not until you reach your 20-year goal. But understand that $100 at a time, you could make it in 47 months. $500 at a time, you can make it in 1/5 at a time. $1,000 at a time, you can make it in you see what I'm saying? The more you do, the less time it takes for you to reach that millionaire status. But what you cannot do is, no matter how much is there and no matter what your lifestyle is like, you cannot go back for it until you've made it to where you're looking for. You put it up, you leave it there, you let it grow. That is the only way you're going to be successful, because you could find a way to raise 20 grand. But if you raise that 20 grand and then you take that 20 grand out and go and buy something stupid, whether it's paying for somebody's bond or buying something that you feel like you need that you technically don't need, and now the 20 grand is gone. the money that you would have been making off of that 20 grand, you're not going to make that anymore. You now have to rebuild that nest egg. It's not about spending what you get. It's about taking the profits off of what you get and spending that so that the principal is always there. If you're not growing the principal, you're never spending the principal. So if you want to stop at whatever amount of money you have as your principal and say, okay, I'm going to live under this dollar sign, that's fine. You're set, you're sustained, because whatever amount of money that you're getting paid every month, that is what it is until inflation hits and stuff starts costing too much. But as long as you're not spending that principal, because if you make a decision that you're going to spend that principal, what you've got to do now is go back out and make that principal again. And the older we get, the harder it is to make money. We're tired. We're hurting. Things ain't as easy as it used to be when we was young. Opportunities is not as frequent because all of the good opportunities are oversaturated with people trying to take advantage of the same opportunity. Winning $1 million in a lottery is a fantastic idea until you have 1 million people winning that same lottery. Now everybody gets a fucking dollar. The ticket costs $5. So if everybody's winning a lottery, you're winning less than what you spent to participate. So you want to be able to find a way to build up the ability to quit. You don't have to be a millionaire. It's just setting the standard as a millionaire gives you the ability to have a $250,000 lifestyle that you don't have to work for, that you can set up a retirement for your kids and your grandkids. Aiming for a $500,000 lifestyle. If you have $500,000 of stocks and bonds, you could potentially live off of a $60,000 or $70,000 a year lifestyle. But that's closer to the market average. Inflation will outdo that over time. But if you've got a partner that has the same mindset, you can take his or her capital and throw it down. Y'all are living off of the interest, and you could take your partner's entire income and invest it. And now y'all both got a better standard of living. That's what we be talking about on the show. He said he needed to hear this tonight. Was getting off track a little. Thanks for being out, man. Hey, you got to understand, on this and that, we talk about this, that, and everything in between. So I can steer the situation wherever you guys take it, as long as it's appropriate. And you needed to hear it, so I just had to say it. You know, when you're compelled to give the word to individuals, you got to say what needs to be said when it needs to be said. It's inappropriate for me to tell you guys to come to a show that is clearly designed to talk about everything under the sun, as long as it's appropriate, and then tell you that's not today's topic. That's inappropriate. So if I expect you to come here and we're going to talk about everything under the sun, if you straw man a topic, we're going to talk about something else for a minute. And once I run out of information for you, I'm going to segue back to the main topic. There's never been a time, I think I can say that there's never been a time where I haven't been able to get out all of the information that I wanted to get out to make sure that I finish my presentation before the show was over. But most of the information that I have, if in the event that I come across a day where I can't finish it, I'll add it into another show. I'll sidebar that shit, because that's what we do. We talk about multiple different topics. So in a theme of a different show, any information that I didn't get out today, it'll be in that other show. Or if I do a follow-up on this, it'll be in that show. Like I told Usman that I was going to revisit Dubai. I need to revisit Dubai before I visit another country. So I might revisit Dubai, and while I'm revisiting Dubai, I might talk about another country at the same time that's in line with some of the stuff that so I might do a country next door to Dubai. That way I can do Dubai at the same time. You know what I'm saying? And that way I'm always fresh. It's a new topic every time. If I touch base on a similar concept, I'm coming from a different direction. So it's not even a regurgitation of the exact same thing. But if you've got to hear it, and somebody who's been here for the last like 12 months has heard it on a show before, then you might be hearing it for the first time. But somebody else might have heard it a couple times before. But if you Google, if you look it up, you'll see it. If you take it upon yourself to go out there and go and ask the Google lady, I guarantee you what I'm telling you is true. And I encourage you, if you live in America, that you have at least one bank and one credit union in every state of this country, including Alaska. for multiple reasons. One, you separate your cash flow. Incoming money should be in a different bank account than outgoing money. Business money for LLCs and C corporations that you control should be separated from the bank accounts that you control for your personal income. If you do have a nonprofit entity that you control, you want to make sure that that nonprofit entity is separate from your business entity and separate from your personal entity. There's laws behind that. And then you want to make sure that your in-person spending is separate from your online spending, because if there's ever an identity theft scenario that occurs, it's less likely that they're stealing money out of the account that your money goes into. So that also helps you out. If you have to dispute something, you can freeze an account. But if you have 49 other bank accounts, you can just redirect your money from your inbound bank account to a different outbound bank account while they solve this dispute. I know all of us have experienced this in the past, where a bank allowed us to be mistreated by a merchant and our money is gone, but we didn't receive the service. We ended up having to close down that bank account and opening up an account somewhere else. Well, if that's the money, that's the account where your money is direct deposited. Now you have to fill out all of this direct deposit information to redirect your inbound money to a new bank account. So you don't want to have an inbound bank account tied to outbound expenses. You want to have an inbound bank account receiving money only. You want to have an outbound bank account spending money only. For those of you that are doing direct deposits and auto bill pay with your tax return, you want to have a separate bank account for your tax return, because you don't want, you heard what they're doing with Social Security. They're about to start cutting off folks who got paid too much money for their Social Security until they break even. You don't want them to tax your account because they got it on file. So you want to have an account that only takes money in, and when that money comes in, you take that money out. So they can't come back and take that money back from you because they don't have access to the account that the money is in now. And I'm going to recommend to everybody, turn off overdraft protection. Just turn it off. It's not in your favor. Overdraft protection allows them to overcharge your account and pay at their discretion a transaction that you may have not approved of. And then they're going to charge you a fee for that. If you turn off overdraft protection, that is true overdraft protection, because if you don't have enough money to pay the charge, they will not overdraft your account. They will just decline the transaction. So if you're $1 short, it's not overdraft protection, because they're not going to, most bank accounts don't charge you a fee for a declined transaction. They'll charge you NSF fees for approving a transaction that you don't have enough money for. But those aren't the accounts that you're using. You're not using accounts that charge NSF fees, and you're not using accounts that charge you a transactional error fee. You don't use those accounts. Those are the accounts that are inbound accounts, where money comes in, you wire transfer the money or ACH transfer the money to another account that you control. You would do ACH transfers because usually those are free. Wire transfers cost money. But if you got a corporate account, ACH transfer might cost you like $15, $20 a month for unlimited transfers. If you got that much money to move around, you can pay $15 instead of paying $65 to move your money from one spot to another. So I just try to tell you guys all the different ways, and make sure y'all go and ask the Google lady when I finish telling y'all about this, so that y'all can look into it and be like, oh yeah, he knows exactly what he's talking about. And try to see if you guys can navigate ways to make yourselves a little bit more successful. Now, redirecting back to the main topic. I told you guys before, if you cook meals at home instead of eating out frequently, and explore free and low-cost entertainment options like hiking or visiting local parks, making these budget planning changes could drastically impact your personal life choices to live comfortably, but you will be living at a more affordable lifestyle. If you take that opportunity of those ideas and utilize that here in America, you will be able to find yourself a significantly cheaper standard of living. Now, I know some people are going to be like, oh, that's a boring life to live. All right. But when you're no longer broke no more, like T-Pain, you're not going to care about that. You're going to be like, it is fantastic that I can go and live the life that I want to live now. But you would never make it there if you don't start creating and investing and working your way to getting there. To make millions from investing in New Zealand while living cheaply, consider the following strategies. If you spread investments across different asset classes like equities, property, and infrastructure to manage risk and maximize returns, you then can adopt a frugal lifestyle by choosing affordable accommodations, cooking at home, and using public transportation. Then maintain long-term investment horizons to ride out market fluctuations and benefit from compound growth. By combining smart investment strategies with cost-effective living, foreigners can potentially achieve significant financial gains while enjoying the quality of life New Zealand has to offer. Now, this is the sidebar that I told y'all about. So if y'all still here entertaining yourselves with all of the random stuff that I got to tell you about making yourselves better men, because this is from a male's perspective, ladies. So if y'all want to learn something, y'all going to have to throw up some questions, because I can find you ladies some ways that y'all can make yourselves successful. But this is for the men. Fellas, Japan is offering 600,000 yen, which is approximately $5,700 to newlywed couples for rent and living expenses in municipalities that have adopted the newlywed support program. Your eligibility for this particular program, though, is that both spouses must be under the age of 40 years old at the time of marriage and registration, and they have a combined income of less than 5.4 million yen, which is about $36,475.40. So if you take your entire McDonald's paycheck, your entire annual paycheck from McDonald's, and move over to Japan, yeah, you're probably going to be making too much money to take advantage of this. But for those of you individuals that's living off of stimulus checks from the government, if you got a $20,000 income and she's got a $20,000 income, now remember, because I know when I say, $36,000, that's not a lot of money. Standard of living in Japan, $8,500 a year. So $5,700 is like 3/4 of a year's worth of income to get married, which gives you at least 2 or 3 months worth of honeymoon before you got to get back to work. And that's the same country that offered you the $23,000 incentive for you to hire 2 locals to run a business that you control. So if you are under the age of 40, marry a Japanese woman, live there, get the $5,700, start up a business there, pay 2 people to run that business, you made almost 30 grand. And the standard of living there, $8,500 a year. Now, you can take that money and put it towards your standard of living so that you don't got to try. Then you'll be able to live the good life because people are working for you. Your money's making money for you. You got American money coming over. You ain't got to tell them where your paychecks is coming from. You only got to report capital gains that are actually gains from inside of the country. If money is just being wire transferred into a bank account that you control, I mean, especially if you're doing it in low increments, ain't nobody really going to be looking for where the money came from. We come to find out that some places, like, they keep track of that large one-time transaction of like 10,000 or something like that. But if you think about the fact that out of 30 days, if you did like a $2,500 wire transfer every day, ain't nobody paying attention to that, because you can spend in some banks in America, you can spend $3,000 a day and nobody care. So if you just wire transfer $2,500 out of your bank every day, you could move $90,000 or so out of your bank every day, which means that you could move $900,000 out of your bank in a year and nobody say anything about it. And as long as nobody knows that it left, nobody knows where it ended up. And if nobody knows where it ended up, nobody's looking for it at tax time. And if nobody's looking for it at tax time, whatever you say goes. Talina says, how much you need a month comfortably with. To live in New Zealand, New Zealand is side by side with America. And last I looked at it was about 2,000 to 5,000 a month was a standard of living in New Zealand. But if you're buying houses and stuff to that effect, it is going to cost a lot more. And that's one of the reasons why the recommendation to save a little bit of money in New Zealand was to live with other people, flat renting, roommates, stuff like that, because it's almost like the American standard of living. It's like, I think for every euro, it's like $1.09. So it's like almost what and what. But if you're asking me how much you need per month to live in Japan, though, about $795 a month. Which is way cheaper. And that's like for everything. That's not just the rent. A lot of times when we're talking about places to live, America is the only place that America is the only place that is very expensive for just the rent. Plus, the rest of your standard of living is wrapped around that. Oh, you're talking about me particularly. Oh, everything runs through my business, so I don't pay for anything. My business pays for all of it. It's part of the overhead. Everything down to this podcast is part of the overhead. I have no expenses. Own nothing, control everything. So, capital comes in, capital gets invested, investments are rerouted, and it keeps moving around until it's gone. Then whatever's left, I reinvest it, but I have no expenses. I'm a walking business. I keep telling y'all that. If you drive a company car, that's not your car. The company pays for the car, but you still drive it. If you live in a company house, that's not your house. So the company pays for the house, but you can still stay there. So, but how much what? Like you're asking me about, Mike, I don't have any monthly expenses. I have businesses in multiple states in the country, and they make fluctuating quantities of capital that is invested across every aspect of what we talk about on this show. So there are highs and lows, and I ride off the lows and offset the highs. There's enough there to make sure that the staff that I got is taken care of. That so I do okay for myself, but that's the only reason why I can talk about it is because it's doable. Anybody can do it. If I can do it, y'all can do it. Hungary provides subsidies, and they got subsidized loans in Hungary, which is really strange because I've never seen this, of up to 10 million forints, which is approximately $33,000 for couples who marry before the bride turns 41. So if you wanted to go to Hungary, if you hungry and you want to go to Hungary and get you one of them Hungarian women, and she's under the age of 41, so that's a huge gap because most women are undesirable after 25 to 27. They're considered leftovers. And any woman between 27 and 40, if you marry her before, well, you're going to have to marry younger because there's a lot more stipulations to this. But if you marry her before 40, you can borrow. Well, Hungary is actually Hungary, but it's pronounced the same. So hungry for Hungarian. But if you pick her up before her 41st birthday, you can borrow subsidized, meaning interest-free, $33,000, which is 10 million forint. Now, if couples have 3 children, they don't need to repay the loan, which means that you can borrow $33,000. Now, in order for you to have the 3 children, you're going to have to give yourself some flexibility. So you're going to need about 5 years to make 3 children, unless you're good and you have a supporting wife that's willing to put in the effort to drop 3 kids at the back to back. Because having 3 kids in 3 years is doable. A lot of women do it, but the older you are, the harder it is. So you're going to want to space that out and probably have 5 years to have 3 kids before menopause. So you're probably having all 3 kids before 40. So you're probably having to get married at 34, 35, and like immediately you're working on dropping kids. So if you're trying to get married before 35, you're trying to meet her in her 30s, like early 30s, like 31, 32. So they're talking date long enough for y'all to marry so that you can have those kids where you can get the 3 kids out before she's 41 so that y'all can keep the $33,000 and not have to pay it back. Now, South Korea reportedly offers between $64,000 and $85,000 to couples who marry, and this is part of a pilot program aimed to addressing the country's declining marriage rate. And the city of Busan reportedly offers $64,000 to couples who decide to marry and have children, but there's no specific criteria for foreigners that are mentioned to qualify for this. Now, South Korea has seen an increase in marriage between South Koreans and foreign nationals with a surge of about 18.3% in 2023. And the government is also providing various financial incentives for couples who date and marry, including 500,000 won, which is about $360 for each person in a couple who agree to date through the government program, and 20 million won as a congratulations gift for couples who decide to marry in that program, and 30 million won for newlyweds to put a deposit on a home, or 800,000 won per month to subsidize rent for up to 5 years. That is a lot of incentives to go to South Korea. And based on the South Koreans you see on the K-pop movies and Netflix, yeah. Now, in a few years, Talina's saying move to Ukraine, and that will be the best investment. I know that the standard of living is going to be very affordable in Ukraine. I'm wondering, though, what are the investment opportunities of Ukraine? Because, I mean, if you have an affordable place to live and you also are able to invest outside of the country, then you can potentially, as a capital from abroad, be able to really live just about anywhere. Chile is one of the good places to go as well. They have a very high investment rate for foreigners to go over there and marry their women. But then, like, what's the standard? So that's a good thing. I'm going to have to look into that and see what investment opportunities are available in Ukraine, because Ukraine has a rebuildable infrastructure. And until it has been rebuilt, if you invest in it during the redevelopment phase, you'll be on the ground floor of all of the investment opportunities. So in a few years, whatever you put into Ukraine is going to be worth a heck of a lot more once they're done with the expansion, once they've done with the redevelopment. So that's a good insight to think about. Now, Italy is another one. Italy is offering up to 2,000 euros to couples who marry and settle in rural areas like Candela and Dorminia, addressing gender disparities and revitalizing local communities. So eligible areas where the incentives apply in those specific rural areas with specific mentions of the Candelia in Puglia and other small towns with populations under 5,000 inhabitants. So if you just so happen to find a place that has a $5,000, a 5,000 person population, you move to that place, marry a female, and get $2,000. Now, the standard of living is going to be subjective to approval before you decide to go live there, but you've got to really figure it out, do your research. She says, you can buy everything for money. Well, yeah, you can buy everything and a lot of people for money. If you put up enough money on the table, you can do whatever you like. But the fact is that you have to determine, is it worth it to you? Because just because you have the capabilities to buy something doesn't mean that you should. You have to be able to determine that you're going to benefit from this purchase. If you're going to benefit from the purchase, then yeah, go ahead and do it. But if you're not going to benefit in some way, shape, or form outside of personal entertainment, then it's less likely worth you investing in, because you're going to be spending money, and outside of qualifiable tax deductions, you're going to be spending money with no financial benefit. And I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Now, the program aims to revitalize the rural communities, and they're also going to be addressing gender disparities and combating depopulation in small towns, supporting local businesses affected by the COVID pandemic, and they're going to be offering additional benefits to some areas where these extra incentives are discounts on electricity bills, reduced fees for kindergarten enrollment, reductions in waste in school, canteen taxes, and specific examples for Candelia is the cash bonuses ranging from 800 euros for singles to 2,000 euros for families of 4 or more. We got quite a few of these countries. Thank you very much. Well, I try to make it make sense. That's kind of what I do. I spend a lot of my time doing digging and researching things to make sure that what I'm grabbing for you guys is worth it. I got to make it worth it for you guys to hang around and watch it on the show. Tuscany, the residentialization in Montegoya, their program offers grants from 10,000 euros to 30,000 euros to help with home purchase and renovation in mountain towns. The eligible criteria there, while specific requirements vary by location, generally include conditions such as registering as a resident for a full year, renting or purchasing a home in the area, and having a job with a minimum annual income of £7,500 in Candelia. The application process, if you're interested, for couples should be checked with the local authorities for specific application procedures and deadlines. So, making millions while living cheaply in other countries like New Zealand is not only possible, but a reality for many who have taken the leap. By looking beyond the beaten path, identifying high growth opportunities and certain incentives, while being willing to put in the hard work, you too can achieve financial success and live a life you love in stunning countries. So, what do you think about making millions while living in New Zealand? Have you got thoughts on challenges, about opportunities? I've loved to discuss today. Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to make sure that you guys look into some of our other investment strategies in other countries throughout the month, because like I said before, we're going to be revisiting Dubai. So when we go to revisit Dubai, I'm probably going to partner Dubai with another country, because I've already covered Dubai. And I can cover the same country twice, but I like to cover each country at least once. And there are a lot of countries around the world. So after I'm going to be covering a country, and a country that might have a little less to discuss after I've marched through all of the information, then I will also piggyback with Dubai. I think that would be the most effective way to cover that. But then also, like we've discussed, Chile and a couple of other countries are countries that we need to look into, because there are a lot of investment opportunities out there. Now, eventually, because I have to cover brokers next week, and then we're going to be covering diamonds and other minerals and stuff like that the week after. Eventually, we're going to be covering places that have tax-free opportunities for non-residential trusts, non-residential private trusts, that allows us to be able to set up offshore trust accounts where our primary country of choice is not going to be able to impact the accessibility of information of the private trust. Nothing in life is free. It is going to cost money. The cost of privacy is worth it. And it's also the cost of doing business. If you were able to utilize that as an expense towards your operation, then you can write that off as a tax deduction. So the money that you spent is a tax blanket. That way you don't have to worry about it. Beyond that, make sure that you put a lot more effort into putting your money in better places instead of wasting it on entertainment and throwing your money away. You want to make sure that whatever it is that you do with your dollar allows you to get an extra dollar back in the long run. Even if it's something as simple as loaning money to a friend. Otherwise, if you don't, you're going to be causing yourself to work harder to get more money back, and that's going to keep you in a position of forever working. Even if you're loaning your money to a friend, you have to contract your loans out to your friends, no matter how insignificant the money is. If they're not willing to pay you back with interest, then you're not willing to loan them any money. You don't care how much they need help, because the shoe is not always going to be on the other foot. I've had buddies that I took great care of, and then when the deal went full circle, they didn't have it. But see, if me investing in them would have gave me massive returns, then I would have had more money on the side, where when they needed a reinvestment, I would be able to reinvest in them. If you replenish your resources, you will always have resources to give. But if you're not replenishing your resources, eventually your resources will run out. It's the difference between having just a glass of water or having a fountain pouring water into your glass. One of them will never be refilled again, and the other one will always stay full. You need to decide which cup you're holding. Z says getting paid by government to have kids is real child support, kids supporting the parents. Well, there are a lot of countries in Asia, due to the population decline, that has high incentives for childcare, where they will offer you subsidies to pay for the children until they are adults, regardless of your income status. So unlike in America, where you have to make a little quantity of money to receive government assistance, if you just have a kid in Asia, specifically, anywhere in Asia, any country in Asia, there is some kind of incentive there that they will compensate you for the cost of the child, which encourages the people in that country to have more children. One of the requirements of those incentives is that the mother must be a native. So if mom is native and dad flies in from another country, child is born on their soil, country pays for the kid. So an American can't fly to their country and give birth to a child over there and say, "Oh, I won on the program." But if you were born and raised there and you drop a child there, if the person that helped you create the child isn't from there, then you can get the program. So the rest of us who are trying to run out there and pop out children, you can go to different countries and you have a family of 5 with the type of income coming in from the government to cover all 5 kids, all 3, 4 kids, and you're just paying for you and your wife. It's worth it. And with certain countries that are offering incentives, like in South Korea, where they're offering you marriage incentives, dating incentives, you could date for little or nothing. You could live for little or nothing and boost your standard of living, and then pop out the children for little or nothing and ride the wave and live that good life. It's one of the ways that you wouldn't even have to struggle. And if you're just like auto bill pay, moving money from one place to the next, and say you put your money in Belarus, and then that's a non-taxing state, and then you just get a deposit once a month from Belarus that shows that you got an income. There ain't nobody going to question that. But if you don't have a job in South Korea, you don't have to claim an income. So you got to think about that as well. Now, Elon has been talking a lot about this population decline. Yeah, they've been talking about, well, I started talking about the population decline last year when I did the whole show about going to live in Japan, because one of the people on TikTok had put this post out swearing up and down that all of South Korea was offering like $75,000 to Americans to go over there and repopulate. It's not true. South Korea was offering $72,000 to their employees to repopulate. So if you work for 2 of the major companies in South Korea, they will pay you $72,000 to have kids and give you 12 months paternity leave as the father, where you could stay at home with the mother and take care of the child. So that $72,000 was supposed to cover your standard of living while you're not at work. And ain't really the same as I'm going to get more money from South Korea to drop babies than what I'm going to get in America to pay child support. That's not the same. But they are offering incentives. Even in countries where you don't have to work for the company, you just have to produce the child and properly register with the government, and they will give you the compensation for the child. Like I said, specifically, you have less difficulties if the child is born from a local. So if mom is a native and the child is a native, doesn't matter where dad came from, hospital bill is $500. Anybody, that's cheaper than the plane ticket to get over there. So at that rate, you can have 3 kids. The cost of birth is cheaper than taking an American woman out on a date. And that's and then they pay for childcare. So they're offering you monthly supplements to take care of childcare until the child gets 18. And they increase the supplements, the subsidies, they increase them throughout the child's age until the child reaches adulthood, which makes it easier on you. So if you wanted to have 3 or 5 kids while they're offering this kind of situation where you only need like what, $2,500 to drop 5 kids, and then the government's going to pay for them for the rest of their childhood. If you stay with the mom, they're not going to throw you on child support. So you live with the kids. The government pays for the kids. You're paying for you and your wife. It's going to be what, $1,500 a month for a family of 5 kids. That's 7 people. Family of 7, $1,500 a month because the government's covering the cost of the kids. I can swing that. I can't argue with that. And if I'm making $2,000 a month, that is like unneeded capital, I could just wire that over there. I don't even have to work. Standard of living is $8,500, and I'm wire transferring myself $24,000. That's cheap. That's cheap. But in America, you can't survive on $24,000. You're going to need some help. You're going to need a second income. There are a lot of ways where we can go places and we can do things and we can improve ourselves. We can build ourselves back up and then swing back around to the most expensive places after we've made it big. Because if you reduce your cost of living to 30% of your income and you invest the other 70%, you're increasing your income by leaps and bounds. Then you will find yourself in a position where when it's all said and done, you can retire out of the game. You can quit working. You can enjoy the family life with all of your kids and your wife and your husband, whichever one you are, and you would be able to benefit from what the American dream was really supposed to be about. It's about working to build a life for your family and then enjoying that life with your family. Nobody ever makes it to the second part. Everybody gets to the working part. They don't get to the making enough money to support their family part, and they never get to the part where they're enjoying life after work. So I'm just trying to give you guys a lot of ways where you can start enjoying life after work, enjoying life with your family after work. Because otherwise it's pointless. You're just working to die. I want to be part of the 1% of people that don't have to do that. Where I can negotiate and finagle my way into deals that'll make money for me. That's what I would do. Be that as it may, I've covered all the information and I'm going to cut it. Man, good stuff tonight, bro. AZ, I appreciate you coming through. You see what I talked about yesterday. When you got time, go touch base on that, because we talked about a lot of stuff. But yeah, tomorrow we're going to be, not tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be, we're going to be doing some of our sociology conversations tomorrow, Friday and Saturday. But Tuesday, we're going to be talking about more incentivized ways to invest, precious metals, diamonds, stuff like that. And then we're going to be touching on a new country next week, Wednesday. Monday, I have been looking into some of these things. Like, they've been making a law about charging the transgender people with fraud. That's interesting. Well, how does that impact the country? There's a few other things that's going on right now that we're going to be talking about business-wise. I wanted to discuss how the real estate decline due to the tariffs is impacting countries around the world, because that particular market, there are a lot of people employed in a lot of countries where those countries, they're not doing as well as they used to. I can't say they're suffering. They're not doing as well as they used to. So the short-term implications of the tariffs is actually having a larger effect on people around the world. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that as well. And then, like, kind of tell you guys about places and things that you can do to put your money in other places where you can still make money during the tariff war. Because they're not going to stop you from investing in their companies. They're just going to stop you from selling your products in their country. So you just got to work your way around the chaos, because it's going to trickle down to the rest of us. Every decision that's made at the top level trickles down to everybody that's not on the top level. We just don't feel it at first. The same way massive financial changes is a down up scenario. The people with the least amount of money feel the impact of financial change before the people with the most money feel the impact of financial change. Because the people at the top feel financial change when the people at the bottom can't afford to buy stuff. That means the companies don't make as much money. And that means that the owners of the companies don't make as much money. And the investors of those companies don't make as much money. That's when the people at the top start feeling it. But when massive policy changes are made at the top, it takes a while for the average poor person to feel it. Oh, but you'll feel it, though. It might not be this month, but you'll feel it, though. You go trying to finance a house and it's at 8% interest when the interest rate was supposed to be going down to 5%. You're going to be like, man, And they ain't gonna have you got good credit, and they still charging you 8%. They're like, oh, we'll do you a favor and we'll charge you 6.9%. And you be sitting over here mad at the bitch. All that time that you went towards building up your credit, now you got this high ass interest rate. And you got to wait until the market change and then refinance the house. And you got to be careful with refinancing the house, because if you refinance the house and they give you cheaper interest rates, if you pay less money, it's the cost of doing business. You're still paying more money over time. If you refinance the house and continue to make the high payments that you were making when the interest rates were high, you'll be putting more money towards the principal, paying the house down faster, which might offset the refinance, where you might actually be able to buy the house for cheaper than what you paid for it originally. But if you lower your monthly payments and then you only pay the minimum amount on the house, you're probably going to be in a situation where they're going to be taking more money out of your pocket over time. Because when you refinance, you start the loan over. So if you're at 7% or 8% and you start the loan over and you get it at 5%, yeah, it's 2% less. But if you're not paying 9 or 10% interest and some on your total monthly payments, you're going to end up paying $50,000 to $100,000 more than what you would have paid if you would have just kept your original mortgage. So you got to think about that as well. So be that as it may, that's all I got for you guys for tonight. Before I do anything else, he said, after hearing you for a little while, I feel bad about messing with you at first. Mad respect, my man. Gonna listen on the side, bro. You got to on a regular basis. I don't take offense when you guys jump in and you kind of heckle at the beginning. I let you guys ride for a while because I know that you're bored. You ain't got nothing else to do. You trolling podcasts, and then you come to find out, oh shit, this one's actually valuable. You got a lot of podcasts where people just dive in and they troll for entertainment to get a reaction out of the host, because you ain't really got nobody that you really want to do anything with right now. It's not that you don't got friends. It's just that the friends that you got, you don't want to be bothered with right now. So instead of you being bothered with them, you over here messing with somebody you don't know. You want to trigger that person so that you can get you a little bit of a laugh, because life is boring and you're tired. You don't really want to entertain other people. You want to be entertained. I'm not here to entertain y'all. I'm here to educate y'all on some ways where y'all can make y'all lives better so that you're not pissed off at life. I'm here to give you guys other opportunities to think outside of the box so that you can look into other ways to make yourself more successful. I appreciate that. I want to make you guys more successful so that you can spend more time traveling the world. You can spend more time in better relationships where you don't got arguments at the house. You can spend more time putting your money in places where you don't have to work for somebody else. You work for yourself. You get up when you feel like it. You go to bed when you want to. You show up when you decide to show up, not because somebody else told you got to show up. Because then you're not going to hate life. You're not going to hate the people that you associate with, because you're going to stop associating with people that get on your damn nerves. Because the only people that you're going to associate with got money. You got money. And the only reason why you're associating with them is because they want you to help them put your money in a place where both of y'all gonna make some money. And that's exactly right. Freedom right there. You see that financial freedom, the freedom for time, the freedom to enjoy life. The freedom to life is supposed to be about building memories with the people that you love. If you are stressed out, you don't want to be fucking bothered with nobody, whether you love them or not. When you are frustrated, you want to vent in a room by yourself playing Call of Duty. You want to mind your own business on your GTA 5 until the griefers come in and start trolling everybody. You don't want to be bothered. But when you don't have stress on your plate, you want to go out and enjoy life with the people that matter to you. You want to take them with you when you go in and having a good time. Yeah, they were there with you when you were stressed out. They was there with you when you was doing the struggle. But when the struggle stopped, they're still there. So now that it's time for you to celebrate your success, you want to celebrate with them. But if you never make it to the success, if you only live a life of struggle, how are you going to pull yourself out of that? Most of us don't know that there is another way, even if we want it, even if we're willing to put the effort into it. So every week, 3 times a week, I give you guys another way to put your money somewhere else, to put your effort somewhere else. Because if you put your effort somewhere else, if you get you a side hustle, if you get you a subsidy, something that bring you a little extra money, if you're living at 99% of your income and you can find something else that doesn't require that much physical effort, but you can subsidize your income and give yourself an extra 15, 20% more capital, guess what? You got 15 to 20% extra capital that you can invest. That way, it'll pay off working 2 jobs, because one job will cover the bills and the other job will cover retirement. Eventually, you'll make enough money to quit one of them jobs, and eventually you'll make enough money to quit both of them jobs. If you're making a 20-year plan, you'll be 65 if you start at 40. You'll be 55 if you start at 35. So the sooner you start finding another way, spending less money unnecessarily, investing more money deliberately, and reinvesting what you don't need. That don't mean that you can't ever have fun, but it's strategic about the kind of fun that you're going to have. Why go to the club and throw money against the wall and just walk out of the room and leave yourself broke when you can put yourself in a business meeting at that same club, closing a deal where all of the money spent at that club is part of the deal? So you write off that club affair on your taxes. If you got to pay Uncle Sam, but that meeting cost you $500, the meeting cost you $500. So that's a write-off. If you look into ways where you are spending deliberately so that you can debunk the tax expense, when you do report itemized taxation, you are showing everything that you spent your money on, and everything that you spent your money on is deductible. So that means instead of you having to find a way to get rid of $22,000 worth of taxation or $30,000 worth of taxation, you show the government $45,000 worth of expenses, and they're like, oh, never mind, keep your money. So glad I found this channel. Hey, man, I appreciate you hanging out. I appreciate you hanging out. I told y'all, I said, what, one of the things I'm going to be looking into eventually, because I'm talking about all the different places we can go to around the world. But eventually, we got to find out which countries we can do a private trust in, a non-residential private trust, where we don't have to live in that country to create that trust. And that country is one of those countries that doesn't have taxes. Why is that important? Because if you put your money into that account, that trust, any dividend distributed from that trust, it's not taxed. It's just like having an invisible person hand you money. You only have to claim what is reported. It is only reported when it's taxable. Well, supposed to be. If it's non-taxable, it's non-reported. And if it's non-reported, you don't have to report it. The same way people with Social Security, disability, and veterans payments do not have to file taxes. And if they did file taxes, they don't have to claim their Social Security and veterans benefits on their tax returns, because that is not taxable income. So you don't have to report it. You don't have to file. But if you did file, you'd file as a no filer, because you don't have to pay taxes. In certain states and certain countries, you don't have to file taxes after 60, 65 or 68. You don't have to file taxes, no matter how much you got going on. But until you reach that age, you are obligated to put forth some kind of effort to let them know when you got enough money to be taxed that you spent more money than you made, and they shouldn't take any money out of your pocket. That's something that you've got to work on. Is they going to tell my friends about you, bro? You are definitely helping people. Keep up the good work. Hey, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. But that's one of the reasons why every time you come to the show, like Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we're talking about money. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we're talking about how to change the way you think, how to change the way you let people treat you, how to change the way you treat people, changing your priorities. Because if you change these things about you, you stop making mistakes in your personal life. When you stop making mistakes in your personal life, those mistakes stop costing you money. That gives you more money to invest. If you stop making mistakes in your personal life stops stressing you out, which causes you to make mistakes on your job. You stop making mistakes on your job, you stop risking losing your job. You stop risking losing your job, you stop being stressed out on your job. Either your job is going to make enough money to pay for your standard of living, or it's not. You're going to find another job, or you're going to find an extra income to subsidize that job. If you're not stressed out about work because you got enough money to cover your standard of living, you're not taking that stress out at your house, which means that the people at your house is not going to be stressed out by you, which is going to cause them to retaliate and stress you out, because people don't have the common sense to be stress relievers. We get into relationships for the wrong reasons. So instead of us having a partner that's going to be supportive and be a stress reliever, we're going to have a partner that's good in bed that is part of the stress. That's why it's a 2-part series. It's all about knowledge, but part of it is about business knowledge and part of it is about personal development knowledge. But it's all about knowledge. If you put all this stuff together, just like Ruderus got a real good relationship going on, you can find different business opportunities. You can find different investment opportunities. You can find different ways to make money for you and build wealth to the magnitude where you can quit working. It ain't about being lazy. This is not an easy task. This is a long haul kind of grind. And this long haul kind of grind is the kind of grind that I keep telling you guys, you're going to need a 10 or 20-year plan. It can be a 10-year plan, but that's going to require like 50 to 75% of your investments to go into a 10-year plan. A 20-year plan is something that you could take the change left over after you pay your bills, but you'll still make it to a millionaire. Fact is, every time you get something extra, you want to invest it. If you're in a relationship, if one of you can pay for 95% of the income and the other person's only got to pay 5 or 10% of the income, and the other 80 or 90% of that person's income isn't needed for anything, you can put that person's entire extra expense into high interest investments, where if you got two of y'all making 80 and y'all are saving 20, y'all can invest that 20 grand and that 20 grand will flip pretty quickly. It's not going to take that much time for you to turn that to $1 million. But you guys have to, hey, you're not the only person. Usman said the same thing. He said, I don't mean to sound weird, but I feel like I found a friend. Hey, Usman said the same thing. He told me that I'm his go-to guy for STEM information, financial information, social equality information. He's like, whenever I got a question, bro, I'm just going to come here. And Usman's here like 6 days a week, 5-6 days a week, because this is the stuff that we need to make. We don't have this mentorship. When we was growing up, we didn't have old heads telling us how to do this stuff. People that was 50, 60 years old when we was 10, 15, 18, we ain't had no old heads giving us this kind of wisdom. But the top 1%, that's all they teach their kids. How to make and save money, how to invest money. Don't mess with that person. That person's going to make you look bad. And by making you look bad, you lose out on money opportunities. Your reputation is the most important thing that you have, because that's where you're going to make your money from. Anybody who watches this podcast, when they see me in person, oh, he knows what he's doing. And the fact is that since you are the company that you keep, that's another decision-making process you got to make. If you're dealing with people who steal, you don't want to mess with them. If you're dealing with people who commit crimes, you don't want to mess with them. If you're dealing with people who make bad decisions, you don't want to mess with them. Why? People will look down on you because you hang with a thief. They're going to assume that you steal too. They're not going to want to do business deals with you because they're going to feel like you're going to steal their money because you're hanging out with a thief. People who commit crimes, they don't want to do business with you. They don't want their reputation to be tarnished by your criminal history. People who make mistakes, you don't want to do business with them because people who make mistakes will cost somebody else money. That person's not going to have enough money to invest in a deal, or that person's going to have to pull out of the deal sooner than expected because they need money. If you are investing in somebody else's stupidity, every time you come up and get you an extra $5,000-$7,000, you're bailing out somebody dumb because they had made a bad decision that you told them not to make before they got arrested. If you stop wasting your money on stupidity, you got more money to invest in yourself. So first person accountability, you got to change the way you make decisions that impact you. Change the way you make decisions that impact the people around you. And then you got to change the way you allow people to make decisions that will impact you. all three of them situations is your fault. So if you're with somebody that does something stupid, you chose to be there. You didn't stop that from going down, and you didn't remove yourself out of that situation. So now you're partially responsible for the outcome. So you can never say, oh, I'm in this situation because of the other person. You're in the situation because you were there. So that's your fault you were there. You seen the situation about to go bad. You should have been the first person to say, hey, man, I got to go home, man. as soon as it looks like it might start going south, you should be the first person saying, I'm not okay with this. Everybody's getting drunk at the club and the most drunk person is driving. You should be the first person that says, hey, I'm going to catch a cab. You feel me? Then when you find out all your friends is upside down in a car crash, you wasn't in that car. Thank you very much. He says, sleep well, my friend. God bless. Yeah, I'm about to wrap the show up tonight now as well, because I ran out of stuff, but I just felt like it was good to let you know about that. So on my way out the door one more time, y'all, because Z kept me here a little bit long, and I greatly appreciate that, because, I mean, hey, a lot of people popped in just to hear that. So I'm actually pretty impressed on that. As we walk out the door, ladies, I'm going to ask y'all, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. Special shout out to Z, special shout out to Satellite, Usman, Ruderus, special shout out to Mr. Pibbs, Reese Martinez, Joseph Hernandez. I really appreciate you guys for coming to the show. Red Void, Danny Steffen. Special shout out to Twitch and Twitter. We really appreciate you guys coming to the show. Anybody on Twitch, if y'all ever start throwing comments into the comment section, because I know Twitter, y'all just like to watch. But if you get involved with the conversation, note your comments will come across the screen. So special shout out to y'all for hanging out and watching us. I see y'all over there. Special shout out to those of you that's watching us on Twitch as well. We really appreciate y'all coming to the show. About 76% male following right now, so we're gaining a bigger lead. But special shout out to all those strong women out there watching us on the show. Vanessa, Victoria B, Viv. Special shout out to Nico and Nikki. So we appreciate you guys with y'all intellectual. Look at that. Bayside diving in. He here listening the whole time. Great topic once again. Taking notes and soaking up the game. Bro, you got to. Special extra shout out to Bayside. Bayside was here yesterday when we was talking about those precious metals. So Bayside, we said we're gonna be talking about brokerage next week Tuesday, but then after that we're going to be talking about the minerals, because I want to talk about diamonds and other stuff. So I want to talk about all that stuff, about stock options, investing, and where to go to pick that stuff up. So make sure that you stick with us on that, because Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays we talk about ways to make money, and Thursday through Saturday we talk about ways to improve ourselves personally, and then Sunday is the members only show where we talk about everything under the sun with the questions and comments from the fans. So I want to say thank y'all for coming to the show tonight. My name is Xander. Thank you for coming to This and That, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. I will see you guys tomorrow night, 10 o'clock Central Standard Time, which is 11 o'clock Florida time, 7 o'clock California time, 4 a.m. Green Minutes time, and 4 a.m. Universal Standard Time. Thank you guys very much, and I'll see you again tomorrow night. Special shout out to Usman. He was here the whole time. Until next time, my brother. I told y'all Usman be dropping in. I got to get another one of them special sayings from Usman, because he gives me a good one every day. But he got here a little bit late today. That's my bad, brother. We started almost on time. It was like 15 minutes late. But I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Thank you so much. And if you pop it up there, Usman, I'm going to throw it up during the outro, because we got like a 4-minute outro, because alanito.music is a Switzerland band that made exclusive songs for us, and we're going to listen to that on our way out. So thank you guys very much, and y'all have a good night.
Higher ground. Used to chase validation, now I validate network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. I'm not landing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never yield.